Coming to you live on May 3rd, 2021. And today I'll be pulling some cards to give you a general feel for the energy of the month of May. Since we're starting a new month today, I'm going to be focusing on the month, get the month's energy, and get us some general guidance in that way. And then I'm just going to do just a few one card readings for people who request them. So I'll probably only do about 5 or 6 of those. So if you would like a one card reading, you can comment and I will go through the comments and choose a few people randomly and pull a card for you for just a mini reading. So first, let me pull some cards for this month to see what's going on and see what is in store for us energetically so we can make the most of those energies. So the card deck that I use is designed by Barbara Walker. It is a card deck that I've been using for many years. It's getting pretty old and worn, but it's the one that has the most energy for me at the moment. Okay, so I pulled 4 cards. The first 3 cards represent past, present, and future. And then the 4th card is what I call an action card. That sums up the meaning of the first 3 and gives us a sense of action to take going forward. So again, we're focusing on the energy of this month as we head into May. So let me go through each card and let you know what I get here. Okay, so the first card here is the 10 of Pentacles, which looks like that in my deck. And that card has come up reversed. Now I read the cards in a kind of personal way. I don't usually follow the prescribed meanings for the cards. I have my own meanings, and I actually encourage anybody who reads cards to do that. Yes, there are some archetypes in these cards that do have a general sense of meaning, but I think it's up to the reader to really prescribe what they're feeling and what they get from each card. So the 10 of Pentacles, is the suit of material things. Pentacles can sometimes represent money. It looks like a coin, and in some decks it is called coins. So this card is coming up reversed, and the way that I read a reversed card is that it's pointing inward. So to me, it's more about what we're feeling and thinking than necessarily what's going on outside of us. And the 10 is always a sign of an ending and a beginning. It's the highest number in the minor arcana, and so there's a sense of something coming to an end and something beginning, which is very appropriate as we head into a new month. But also energetically, I think many of you are feeling that sense that energy is changing and shifting. And to me, this card is really encouraging us to really align with that. It's coming up in the past, so it's saying this has already begun, this shift of energy. And it has to do with world events, but it also has to do with us personally. So how is that shifting for you? You know, this is something to consider and pay attention to. What are you feeling drawn to right now? Are you feeling drawn to making change? Are there things in your material life, in other words, your job, your home, your relationships, anything that has to do with you as a human and your material life? Is there something about that you want to change? Do you need to start to clean out the closets, both literally and metaphorically, to start to make room for what this new energy wants to bring in? And this card also reminds us that there's never an ending without a beginning. That time really is cyclical, and you can see that wheel on the card. We humans tend to think of time as being linear. Everything has a beginning and an ending. But really, everything shifts into the next thing and the next thing, the next thing, both in the seasons, in, you know, the energy of the world, and in our own lives. You know, even when we graduate high school, we then go on to the next stage. We graduate college, we go on to the next thing. And that's a way to keep us in a state of expansion, which is our natural state. It's the natural state of the universe. It's the natural state of ourselves. So this is asking us, what are we expanding into next? And when you look around your material life, where can you make room for the new things to come in? You want to buy new clothes, you got to clean out the old clothes, right? So I think it's a very positive sign for what's happening energetically, but of course it's up to us to align with that or to resist that change and try to cling to the old and not get rid of those clothes that don't fit you anymore. um, and that will cause us to have some sense of conflict and struggle. Um, it's shifting anyway. It's just a matter of how much we're going to allow that shift or how much we're going to resist it. That's going to create the experience of the shift, right? So the second card in the present position is the Prince of Pentacles. And in fact, I'm noticing that all the cards I pulled are Pentacles, and that's really, I didn't even notice that until right now. That's really unusual that all cards will come up from one particular suit. So clearly, with the intention around this month, there is an emphasis on our material lives right now. And that doesn't just mean money, but that could be part of it. It could, and it could be about our jobs and how we make money and things that we're considering around that. Again, our everything that we consider as part of their human lives, our homes, all the things that we own, our relationships, and all of that. So it seems to me that just by looking at that, the energy is encouraging us to look at that aspect of our lives. So the Prince of Pentacles coming up right now in the present position is represented in my deck by Merlin the Magician. And the Prince energy is big action energy. It has youth and vigor to it. So in some decks, it's the knight, and so the knight, you think of the warrior that's galloping off into the sunset. So the Prince of Pentacles is, as represented by Merlin the Magician, also has that sense of manifestation and creation. So it's asking you to put your time and energy into really considering what you want. Because if the energy is shifting, that means there's a lot of potential in that energy. Now, there's always potential around us, always. But it feels like this shift that we're in right now is just full of potential. It's full of possibilities. That doesn't mean that they're going to come knocking at your door, though. You have to create what you want. You have to start to set an intention for what you want to do with this energy. How do you want your life to look this month and going forward? What do you want to experience and achieve? How do you want to feel? And those are the questions I think are the most important, rather than what's that one very particular detailed goal that you have, because that can be pretty limiting and it can kind of cloud your view to the other things that are being offered to you. So the Prince of Pentacles is saying, you're the magician. You get to decide what you want. Put some energy into that. Start taking the steps toward that. The first step is getting some clarity around what you want. And sometimes the first step is to just do a little research, talk to people, see what's out there. You don't have to make big, giant leaps. But clearly you want to take advantage of this energy that's being offered to you, the energy of potential and change. The little guy peeking in the window sometimes feels to me like fear, and we always have fear around change. We always have fear about what's next because we can't ever predict that. Clearly, 2020 showed us that. So that can cause a lot of fear, which paralyzes us, or it can cause a lot of fear, which kind of motivates us, because fear actually is something to overcome that we can feel triumphant about overcoming, and actually gives us a little sense of challenge that we wouldn't have if it was just easy, right? So don't be too intent on making it easy. Be intent on, okay, I see the fear. I understand where it's coming from, but I'm feeling really drawn to do this or experience this or create this change. So I'm going to do it. The third card in the future is the Four of Pentacles. There's another Pentacles there. The word on that card is avarice. I don't really align with that word too much in the meaning of this card. But To me, this is represented on my deck with this kind of windowless, doorless fortress. And that often feels to me like pulling the energy back into ourselves. We've had a lot of time to do that in the past year. Most of us, have been feeling kind of isolated and having to pull into our homes and pull back from the outer world in some way. Um, and to me, this card coming up in the future is saying, what did you learn from that? What did you discover about yourself and your desires and your dreams? Is there something in that introspection that is leading you to this pull, this draw, this inspiration to create change in your life? If so, it's time to really pay attention to that and start taking action on it and creating your future, which is why it's coming up in the future. Making choices and decisions that aren't necessarily based on what other people expect you to do, what our culture expects from you, what you think other people expect from you, the expectations you place on yourself and your ego, what your ego is saying to you, the ideas about what it means to be successful, which aren't necessarily true, which aren't necessarily your ideas. So, really coming to that place where it feels right to you, pulling the energy back from all the expectations and all the old beliefs that say I should be doing this and I should be making this much money and I should have acquired all of these material things. Maybe that's not really what's in your highest good. So now's the time to really consider what is in my highest good going forward here. And the last card is the action card, and it's the Three of Pentacles. And so, as I said, Pentacles can represent money and it can represent how we make money. And you can see that the word on this card is work. So there, many of you, I'm sure not all of you, but many of you may have a sort of turning point right now when it comes to your work, your career, how you make money, your business, whatever that is. And in fact, I'm finding that a lot in the readings that I've been doing with people. There are some people who are starting to feel motivated to start their own business. They're starting to feel like it's time to make a change or retire or get a new job or cut back their hours or try something else. To me, this card can be reflecting on that, but it's also asking about your ideas around work and money. Again, a lot of these ideas come from things that we were taught growing up, things that were modeled to us by our parents, our culture's idea about, the emphasis placed on how much money you make as being an indicator of success, how much fame you have, how much you feel that your work makes a difference in the world. Your job title as being an indicator of your self-worth and identity. There's a lot of that stuff that can really get in the way of really feeling like we're doing something that is in alignment with who we really are. So to me, this is not just saying it's time to change your job. It's saying it's time to reconsider what work means to you. If you start to see your work as a means of self-expression, and of course, yes, it is also a means to make money to survive. We need that too. But it doesn't have to be something that you really despise or that you're really bored at. Even if you can't change your job right now, is there a way that you can get a different perspective on it? Can you look for the aspects of the job that you enjoy? Can you focus more on that? Can you create a little bit more pleasure around the work that you're doing already? Maybe there are also some other things that you can bring into your life if you're not feeling fulfilled in your job, but you can't change it. Where else can you find fulfillment? Just like you don't have just one person in your life that fulfills all your relationship needs. You shouldn't have just one thing in your life that fulfills all your sense of identity and worth. So this is saying work is more than what we do to make money. Work can be the work that we do on ourselves through creative acts, through community things, through taking classes and learning, reading. All of that is in service to us, and so it is work. So think about that this month. See where you are with that. See how that resonates with you. Um, it feels like a good month to start looking at, what you're doing for a living, but also how you're working on yourself and just your material life in general. And is it time to make some changes there? If you're feeling like it is, start taking some action, little baby steps. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go through and choose a few people. Please don't get mad at me if I skip you. I'm just going to go through randomly. I don't want to take more than 15 minutes here to do these, so I won't be able to do a whole lot, but I'll do a few, okay? This is totally random. Me choosing people. I know that a lot of people get excited and when one card pulls. So the first person who showed up here on the comments is Gailey. So hi, Gailey. It's nice to see you here, and I will pull a card for you. All right, it's one of the cards that came up, and I put them all back and shuffled the deck, but it's one of the cards that came up in the general reading, and it's the Prince of Pentacles. So that just came up, and as I said, this is a high action card. There is a sense of really putting some action into place as it relates to your work, your business, your material life, your money, whatever that is that resonates with you. It's like it's time to take action. It's time to really start to feel like you're the one who's creating here. You're not a victim of circumstance. If you're wanting change, you got to make the change. If you can't make the change, then you got to make the change about how you feel about where you already are. Okay, because really, when we're not happy with something, there's a limited number of choices. We either have to stay unhappy and go along with it, or we have to make some kind of change, whether that's an external change or an internal change. So the Prince of Pentacles is saying it's time to start to feel like you can manifest something different. You can take the steps to create something different. And even if that feels a little scary, it's time to face that fear and say, this is more important to me than the fear. And I'm going to have faith that what I'm being called to do and what I'm feeling drawn to is right for me. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to scroll through to see how many people in here. All right. Yes, there's a lot of people. So, so I am going to skip around because there's a lot of people and I don't want to just take the first few. Okay. I see D. Gouchier, not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but D, I will pull a card for you. Thanks for joining. All right, D, the card I pulled for you is the moon. The moon has come up for you. So the moon represents your emotions, and just like the full moon kind of pulls your emotions up and can sometimes make you feel more intensely emotional. The moon, and it's come up reversed as well, the way I pulled it. The moon is asking you to really consider what you're feeling and what your emotional state is, and to honor that, and to really sit with that and allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. Sometimes the moon comes up, especially reversed, if there's something you're denying in yourself or you're holding back. And I'm just feeling this sense right here around the throat area. So there may be some things to discuss that you need to talk about or express in some way about your emotions and your feelings. We're allowed to feel what we're feeling. And, nobody has the right to tell us that we shouldn't be feeling something. We're allowed to have emotions. They're part of the human experience. And if we don't somehow express those emotions, or we tell ourselves that we're not allowed to feel that, or we shouldn't, or somehow it's a sign of weakness, that emotional energy gets stuck somewhere. And that's really big, powerful energy. Our emotions are big energy. So it's not good for us to withhold them and, to try to keep them down or keep them back from being expressed, because that energy doesn't go far. It'll stay in your energy field. And you know what it's like, you keep repressing and repressing until that one straw that breaks the camel's back, sets off Mount Vesuvius, and and you lose it. So you don't want to get to that point. You know, if there were emotional things that you need to work through, this is the time to work through them. And that means either talking about it, maybe it needs some journaling or writing if you're not comfortable talking about it, but somehow it feels to me like there are some emotions that need expression. So you can think about the healthiest way to do that. All right, skipping around here, I see Rochelle. Rochelle. All right. It always reminds me of the Bette Midler episode of Seinfeld. Okay. All right. 10 of Cups has come up for Rochelle. There it is. Really beautiful card. And again, we have a 10 like we had in the general reading, which indicates an ending and a beginning. And this card being Cups, you know, Cups is the suit of the heart. The emotions, the intuition, your love and compassionate place. So as you can see, the image is somebody who's just about to step onto a new path. And there's also that guide behind him, kind of looking like an angelic figure there. But it's a really clear indicator for you, Rochelle, that you're about to step on a new path if you haven't already. And it's a really big encouragement to see that as a positive thing. Again, it can be scary for us to do that, especially when we're not 100% sure of what's at the end of that path. And in fact, that sense of the unknown often holds us back from taking the opportunity to make change, which is the thing that holds us back. And after a while, we start to feel stuck and we think it's the circumstances, but really it's that we're holding ourselves back from alignment with that change. So it's really encouraging you to see what's being offered to you in the way of change and a new path. And again, like I said in the beginning of the reading, with the general reading, make sure that you're starting to set some intentions, but that you're not getting too narrow about what that end result has to be. You know, so if we say, okay, this is my goal and it looks like that, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But if you're too narrow and it has to look like this, it has to be like this, or I will have failed, then you may be limiting the possibilities for yourself. And as we know, things don't always work out in the way we expect them to, but sometimes they work out better. So to me, it's saying, yes, start to set some intentions for where you're going, but don't get too caught up in it has to be this, which causes a lot of tension and a lot of stress on us that we have to make that happen. It's more like, okay, I'm ready to start this journey. I can't wait to see what this adventure brings me. And these are the things that I'd like to experience along the way. Okay. All righty. Thank you, Denise, for the compliment. Where are we here? Okay, as I said, I'm skipping around a little here. Okay, I see Karen Keegan asking for a card for career. Okay. Yeah, so Karen says, one card for direction in my career. It's been up in the air, maybe time for a change. So the card I pulled here is the Three of Swords. And it's not a really happy looking card, but swords can be a challenging suit because it represents the way we think. This card indicates a sense of having been hurt, having been injured in some way, probably metaphorically, probably more emotionally than physically. What it feels like to me is that the changes and everything being up in the air has been an emotional roller coaster for you, as it has for a lot of people. And sometimes the emotions around that can actually cloud our vision, or again make us feel like we're more focused on the emotions and the repercussions of what have happened than we are in really starting to set a course for what's next. It's important for you to really acknowledge what's actually been going on in that job. because it feels like it's more than just the COVID situation. It feels like there may be other things in that job that have caused you some stress and even some pain. And to me, it's what's going on with everything being up in the air is giving the opportunity to make a decision here, and not just about what's going on in COVID, but what that job has offered you, which, and I'm sure has offered you some good things, but it also feels to me like it may not be the best thing for you. And so making a decision in that way, instead of saying, well, I'm leaving it because of what's happened with COVID, it's more like, I have an opportunity to make a change here. And there are more reasons to make that change than just the current situation with COVID. There are other reasons. So maybe this is the universe kind of giving me a little shove in the direction of something new. And so it's time, to me, I feel like it's time to start releasing some of the emotional attachment to that job, so that it doesn't feel like it's just about leaving the job. It's about creating something new. If that makes sense. All right. Thank you, Trish. Okay, who we got? Leah. Hi, Leah. Nice to see you here from Hawaii. All right, would love a card about pursuing a doctorate degree. Let's see what we get here. All right, so the card I pulled is the Six of Pentacles. Once again, we got that Pentacles, and that doctorate degree is very much tied into our material lives, and money and career and all that stuff, right? Six of Pentacles. The word on the card is charity. Again, not really in total alignment with the energy that I get from this card, but there is a sense of encouraging you to open up to receive. So there's something about this card in the situation with the degree. Sometimes this card comes up when we're blocking something, we're blocking some aspect of our lives that wants to give us something, whether that's a person or a situation, an opportunity. To me, it's saying, look at your life as it is right now. Is there something that's wanting to come in, that something other than the doctorate that wants to come in? Is there something else? And I'm not saying not to pursue the doctorate degree, but it feels like you're feeling a little hesitation because there's something else that's kind of tapping you on the shoulder right now and saying, here's another opportunity that may also be in your best interest. I'm not saying the doctorate isn't, but again, sometimes when we can't make a decision about something, it's because we're sensing that there's something else. So to me, this is saying there's something else. So it's time to kind of really sit with that and sit with the intention to be guided into what that other opportunity might be, so that if you do make the decision to do the doctorate, it feels like, okay, that's the best choice, rather than it's the only choice. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. All right, just a couple more minutes. I'll probably only get to one more. So I'm scrolling down. Okay, Carolyn TBD. Okay. Okay, so Carolyn, you'll be the last one. All right. All right, Carolyn, you got the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands looks like this in my deck. So the Suit of Wands has to do with manifestation, creation, the sense of being a creative individual and also being a creator of your life. This card has also come up reversed. And there's a kind of similar message in this card to some of the things I was getting in the general reading. This is saying, in order for you to want to, again, align with the energy of creating something new, manifesting something new, it's necessary to release some of the old stuff. And to me, since it's reversed, this is more about, for you, releasing the old beliefs, the old ways of thinking, the old things that you're still kind of attached to. Maybe some old intentions that really aren't in alignment with you anymore. Old goals or desires or dreams that, you've just kind of gotten to the habit of being attached to. Um, it just feels like, okay, you got to shake some of that old energy off, and be willing to create something new from that and say, what does my true authentic self at this time in my life really want? Because if some of the things that I wanted in the past haven't manifested, maybe that's because those things aren't really in my highest good now. I thought they were at that time. I'm a different person now. So what is going to be best for me now? You know, um, we do tend to form attachments, we humans, with ways of thinking. We get into habits. We kind of get addicted to those ways of thinking and those old dreams and limitations. Um, this is saying it's time to let go of that, release attachments so that you can start to get clearer about what you want to manifest now. Good advice for everybody, especially based on the general reading we had. So make this a month about that. And so my intention is to do this every Monday, although next Monday I will not be doing it because I'm going to be celebrating Mother's Day on Monday since both of my kids work on Sunday. So I won't be available next Monday, but the week after that, I'll be back live. I'm not going to pull individual cards every time, but occasionally I will do that as well. So I'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for joining me. Have a great couple of weeks and a great May, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.